Hey guys, welcome back to the Deeply Graphic Designcast. I'm Nick Longo. This is episode number 2 of The Drop. Thank you guys so much for digging the last episode we did. These are fun. They're like kind of shorter content ones. We could talk a little bit about headlines and things that are happening in our industry. There's always so much fun stuff to talk about. Most of the times it's fun. Sometimes it's a little controversial. And we're going to get right into these right now because, man, there are so many good ones to talk about. And we're going to start right here with an article from The Creative Boom. This is a recent one that they did highlighting the impacts of AI on the graphic design industry. So good headlines here to go over and really dissect a little bit more. First up, they are predicting a decline in traditional roles. So the World Economic Forum of 2025's Future of Jobs report identifies, buckle up, graphic design as the 11th fastest declining job category over the next 5 years. So again, the 11th fastest declining job category over the next 5 years, a shift attributed to advancements. Now, it's a scary headline to start off with, so let's break it down a little bit more into some of the stuff it talks about, and I think it becomes a little bit more on the positive side. AI's growing capabilities. AI's technologies are increasingly performing the knowledge-based work, including creative tasks, traditionally managed by human designers. So what they're saying here is this knowledge-based work and the task-created things that we typically do are the things where they're seeing AI's fastest growing capabilities will be in. They also wanted to mention here, and this is from OpenAI's CEO Sam Altman, he notes that AI tools will soon match the abilities of highly talented humans, especially in the creative field, potentially lowering the barrier to entry and impacting individual artists. So yeah, like I think that kind of headline starts to make you think a little bit about individually, if I'm just this, is that enough to survive in the creative industry of the future? And is that a call to say, maybe look into broadening and opening up the spectrum of what you do? There's some emerging opportunities that they wanted to highlight as well. Despite the decline in traditional graphic design roles, there is a growth in related fields such as UI UX design, which ranks as the 8th fastest growing job category. It's indicating a shift in demand within the creative industry. They're also saying too that the creative art director, creative director, the folks that become more of the conductors in our industry and in the work field are the ones that are truly unreplaceable when it comes to AI as well. So it leads into their next topic, which was talking about the value of the human creativity. And employers are showing that they're actually finding that the rate of AI's ability to replicate creative thinking as low. Good news, guys, good news. Emphasizing that human creativity remains difficult to replace, underscoring the enduring importance of human ingenuity in design. And again, that's the thing where one of the best lines I ever heard was always mention human plus AI. Try to say it more in that way instead of just AI alone or AI plus human, because it truly does start with human, and keeping that perspective in mind, I think, is really, really smart. So a good little article here to check out. Again, I'll have the links down below, and it's not all bad news. And I think that was the number one thing I wanted to show, was there are some new and unique ways that we could start thinking about what we can do to make sure we're safeguarding and putting guardrails into the future of our industry. Next up, this is a report from the Sessions College highlighting the hottest graphic design trends for 2025. And again, they've got some unique ones here to start talking about. They talk a lot about the fusion of analog and AI technologies, and we're seeing that a lot. I noticed, like in this little image here that they showed, I'm seeing in like marketing, I'm seeing in social media, I'm seeing sometimes even in branding and packaging, this interesting clash of both weird AI and analog kind of design and graphics with photography, and there's such a clash between those two that, again, that's an attention grabbing thing, and it's becoming a look and a feel that is grabbing people's attention, particularly in a scrolling marketplace where people are on digital and moving quite fast. So how else can you get their attention? They're seeing this as a really cool idea, this fusion of analog and AI technologies together. Next up is kind of minimalist maximalism. And I thought this was a cool one because we're kind of being told two different things here: stay minimal, but also go maximum. And what they're saying here is if you can take these two trends and merge them, you can find a way that minimalist designs with all the bold color and patterns capturing the attention that we usually get in maximalism, combined with a minimalist design, can really, really work. And here's a beautiful example of some cosmetics here, and you can see where things work and where things get a little bit on the clash side. So you've got this squarish, clean kind of vessel for the actual product, but then the cap goes completely against it, and it has this almost like hexagon shape. I love the vibe of the typography and that kind of brutalism, but maximalism plus kind of like, minimalism as well. So it's a neat little blend to see that you're keeping both of them intact, and it has a beautiful like fusion when it comes together. I thought that was really, really cool. Textured retro designs, they're finding again, it's a blend of nostalgic elements like textures and unique things that are vintage styles, and that being combined with modern content. So it's like taking things that you can do that are quite modern, but showing them in an older way. Thought that was really cool as well. Next up, they talk about this personalization. This is the first of many times we're going to hear this. It's really unique. It's this way of a growing emphasis on creating designs that cater to the specific diverse audience you're going for, and creating an ad or some kind of a digital component that is personalized to them in some way, where AI can help do that. And it can basically spit out tons of content that is personalized to the people on that list, maybe through data merging, and it can custom create an ad with either their name or maybe a problem they're looking for or to solve. Anything you can think of, this idea of personalization is becoming quite cool. Next up is the rise of motion graphics. And again, I think this is huge to talk about. This use of motion graphics and 3D elements is super high increasing. They're seeing it being offered in so many different ways. It adds dynamic and immersive visual experiences into so many different things. And I love that there's a lower entry now to this motion world by more elementary applications and things that allow all of us that maybe don't do motion to have some kind of experience in learning it and incorporating that into our portfolios and into our offerings for clients, which I really love. I think that's great. There's a huge growth in 3D design. They're seeing that being offered a lot as well. So many cool little things to kind of talk about when it comes to these trends that we could start thinking about or just incorporating in some way. So thought I'd bring that up as well. Here's another one. This one comes from an article that was on LinkedIn. Again, going back to that, this is the anticipated impact of AI on graphic design. So they're talking a little bit here that AI as a creative partner. So think of it as this creative partner that is a collaborative tool for designers. It will enhance creativity and your efficiency rather than replace human ingenuity. So great to hear that again from another report. They're also saying here automation of repetitive tasks. AI will handle the mundane design tasks such as resizing images or coloring matching for hundreds of photos. So imagine those things that take so much time. That's the stuff that I think AI can come in and have a huge advantage when it comes to what we can use in our industry to figure it out. Next up, what they were saying too is this idea of personalization. They're seeing that AI can really drive design that will enable the creation of personalized content, improving the user's engagement and tailoring the experience to the individual and their preferences, all from AI. So cool to see that as well. And lastly, they have this idea of continuous learning and adaptation. Designers will need to adapt to the evolving AI technologies, embracing continuous learning to integrate these tools effectively into their workflows. So I'm really a big proponent of that as well. Before I can truly get an opinion on anything new, any new offering that I see in AI, I want to at least try it before having an opinion about it. So it allows me to kind of dabble into these things and see what we can do to kind of figure out how to use this for our future, and also feel like you're using it at a comfortable level for your own personal kind of experience. All right, next up is another interesting one that's all about UI trends that we can start seeing in the design industry for 2025. We'll go over these a little bit quickly because they had a bunch, but it's a great article to look through if you really are interested in a lot of AI, augmented reality, you name it. It's got a lot of great stuff in there. once again, talking about AI-powered personalization, a great way to leverage AI to do that. Third time we're hearing that. So start thinking about where else you can start putting that into some of your workflow. Immersive interfaces. This is really cool, where augmented and virtual realities are creating a much more immersive interface, particularly in home pages and things like that, where we can kind of get the vibe of the experience right from the very beginning. That's something cool to start thinking about. I've started building a bunch of stuff for replacements in my website. Instead of having static kind of photography just as my leads into projects, I'm starting to create some of these visual things with sound. I love just messing with it in the first place. It's fun to kind of learn a new kind of way of presenting and building some of these things that will be interactive on my site. That's the one thing I always felt I was kind of missing. So I'm having a blast putting that together. I'll update you guys on how that's coming in the weeks ahead. Inclusive and accessible design, obviously making sure that we are creating designs that meet the user's need, ensuring accessibility for individuals that have varying abilities. So a huge topic we're talking about in our school a lot too is this idea of accessible design and making sure that everything we design can work for everybody that might be the audience member for it. Multi-sensory experiences as well. This is where we're seeing much more sound, touch, and visual kind of like complexity to enrich the user interface as we create a more engaging experience for the audience. They talk a little bit about sustainable design in this one as well. So some good ones to kind of check out and influence yourself. What's new in UX UI? This one comes from TDC, Weekly Type, and I'm super excited to see this one because it is highlighting a friend of ours and a friend of the podcast, David John Walker, who was on, I believe last year we had him on, and he wanted to kind of put together this unique typeface. It's called Stacks, and it's designed by David. It's architecturally inspired. Stacks draws from the inspiration from the geometric blocks of Yale University's Rare Books and Manuscripts Library. So it's reflecting its distinctive architectural design, basing it off of the block that was used for it. So I'm going to scroll over here and you can see this little unique square shape that was used. And what they say here is the design characteristics. This is a bold, grid-based monospace font featuring this decorative element that they use, and it's making it a punchy display typeface suitable for various design applications. One thing I love about this was it is very readable, and you can see here when they're using it for some of the type and seeing the entire alphabet here, really usable and works great for different applications. But what I love about it is it's this they call it like a living font, and if you look at how those elements look when they're in a grid, they actually create this almost little vibration where the points meet, and it feels like it's kind of optically moving even when you look at it and it's just static. So what a neat thing that little imbalance of this kind of chiseled bottom, the way it meets at all the corners. Wow, I really kind of dig that. So it was neat to see how that works. And the cool thing here is it is a historical reflection because the typeface embodies all of the collective stories that enhance the understanding of this campus and its historic reference. It's really cool to see something like that being used, and kudos to our buddy David for putting that together. That was really, really cool. It kind of enhances community. It's not only showcases like this innovative design here, but it shows that there's an enduring value when you pull from the history of the project or whatever you might be working on, and it brings awareness to the community about what it's being used for. So fun little connection there to see how that all goes together. Lastly, we have this one here, and this was, we can't have a drop episode with a little bit of rebrand controversy, but this one was from the Creative Block, and it's talking about Capital One's controversial new logo. Faces out of this world design comparison. So what's interesting here was Capital One put together a new app icon, and you can see it right here in red. It features a zoomed out view of the red arrow, and it's now encased in a circular frame. It's deviating from the previous close-up design that they had before. And this public perception of it has been weird because users have complained that this new design of the logo kind of competes and looks like commercial airlines and maybe like the Starfleet insignia from Star Trek, indicating a departure from the traditional banking aesthetics. And people got confused when it showed up on their phones as a new button, and they were like, where's my bank icon? And some of them got a little bit scared as well. I can attest to that as well. So there was some user confusion that some users reported difficulty recognizing this updated app, and they mistaken it for brands like the Turkish Airlines logo, very similar to that as well. So the criticism was that the design had been labeled a little bit weird or ugly, and it was kind of likened to the Nike on a Frisbee vibe. That kind of has that same vibe there as well. I agree there. And it was reflecting on a generally negative reception from folks. So this branding challenge here was saying that this situation underscores the complexities brands face when updating their visual identities, balancing innovation with consumer familiarity. And I was just at a trade show where for food and beverage, so it was like at least 800 to 900 vendors at different brands were all there, and many of them were showing off their rebrand for the first time. And this last line that was mentioned here about balancing innovation with consumer familiarity was something that I saw maybe a good 50% of these rebrands really took into consideration, right? Even if they went completely different with a whole new brand, there was some familiarity that didn't lose the consumer in this exchange from one brand icon to another, or one brand visual design to another. And then there were some other brands that went so far different that there was this instant kind of like non-association with the old brand. And a lot of people were talking about how, bold and daring it was, but many people were like, that's a huge disconnection, because if it's not something that your current consumer recognizes and passes by, is that really an advantage? Is that really an improvement over time? So a unique one to see here that Capital One got themselves into. Just thought it was worth bringing up. So I hope you guys enjoyed. This is a short little episode this week on The Drop, episode number 2. If there are any new design trends, design news, articles, controversial things that you think we should be talking about, please put that in the comments. If you're watching this on YouTube, the comments are right below, super easy. If you're watching this on Spotify, you have a ask question area as well, or head on over to Instagram where we post the art for this episode. Feel free to drop a comment there as well. I love the engagement we've been getting, particularly in comments and on YouTube. It's so good to hear from you guys and let us know what we're doing and things that kind of connect or made a difference in what you had learned. Some of the last few guests have been so great with sharing all of their insight and everything. We've got 3 great ones coming up in the weeks ahead that we are planning to record. So I'm really excited about dropping those to you guys as well. So I hope you guys have a great week and hope you enjoyed this second episode of The Drop. We will catch you next time on the Deeply Graphic Designcast. See you later.